to In Contact, a news and public affairs presentation by the Atlanta Association of Black Journalists. And now your host, Angela Robinson.
Good morning, and it's good to have you with us this morning, and it is time to get connected, seriously connected. According to a 2009 Internet and American Life project conducted by the Pew Research Center, 63% of Americans now have access to the Internet, connecting them to a wealth of social media outlets. Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, and many other social media sites have seen a user increase. But the question remains, what does the face of that user look like? As more Americans tweet and update their Facebook status, is the African American community staying on top of this trend? Are we really, really connected? Joining us today in this conversation, we welcome Pamela Adams, Georgia Regional Development Director for Constant Contact, a man known in many circles as the Internet Guru. And I am going to steal his iPad before this is over with. Brent Leary, co-founder, partner of CRM Essentials, LLC, and a dear friend, Leatrice LZ, Director of Artistic Programming and New Technologies for the National Black Arts Festival. It's good to have you all with us.
Thank you.
I love all of the technology that's right at our fingertips. And you all are smiling because you already feel what I'm saying. But if these numbers are true, are we truly the face of the users? What do our numbers look like? What's going on in the African American community in using the Internet and social media? You all are the Internet really gurus, and you know each other well, so anyone just jump in. Pam, I'll start with you.
Well, I think, especially from the email marketing perspective, and what I see with our clients, we have a good mix. Definitely, when I look at the seminars that I'm offering throughout the state, our numbers are a bit lower. So just looking at that, I think there's definitely a lot of room, and part of the comments and feedback that comes is people really don't understand. They don't have the education, or they're not reaching out for the education so that they're really understanding what they can truly get out of using the social media outside of the personal side of it.
Well, what do our numbers look like? Are we on it? Are we really using it?
Well, from a mobile perspective, mobile technology, we actually overconsume. We make up about 12-13% of the overall population. We spend way more than that.
But we usually overconsume everything, and that's usually the issue because we don't own.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same thing with this new technology.
When you look at mobile phones, we spend a great deal, not just money on the mobile phones, but on the services, because we tend to be on the phone a lot. We tend to send a lot of text messages. Sometimes what we use them, it's the way we use them that maybe doesn't get us as far along as we'd like to be.
Leatrice, you're shaking your head like without question.
Yeah, we are the fastest growing group of mobile users, and so that is the statistic that I think is really important when it comes to African Americans and how we are utilizing this technology. And then when you think about, I think Wired magazine just came out. I just got my new Wired, and the cover is "The Web is Dead." And so it's how people are utilizing the Internet. So is it the web, or are we doing it in the cloud, or, so it's a whole new world out there that is even moving us from computers and from laptops. And so we are using mobile phones, and we are operating in this, they call it the cloud. So that's when it's in someone else's server. So, like your Google Mail or your Google Documents, or those types of things. And so it's not living on your laptop anymore or on your computer anymore. It's living someplace else. And so we are utilizing those services.
Okay, but am I hearing we're living there, but we don't own the house? We're not really living at our best, that we're on it, and we're spending money on the phones, and we've got enough software to do whatever, and we are tweeting, telling people unnecessary stuff like I'm at the store.
I think the difference is, are we using it to its fullest, especially from that productivity side of it? I think we're using it on the personal side. Just like with Facebook, we use it personally to get connected and talk about some of the fun things, but are we really using it for its full potential in growing our businesses?
It's almost the same as how people use phones. A lot of people stay on the phone all the time. What they're talking about, I don't know, and it doesn't seem to move them forward. So what they're doing is taking their usage of the phone from the traditional usage of the phone, and now they're using these mobile devices, because not only can you make phone calls, you can text message. You can use all these mobile applications and get on Facebook from your mobile device, and you can tweet. But it's about how they use it, not that they're using it at this point.
So I'm hearing we need to get away from it just being a companion and a plaything and really being a tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're not galvanizing it for community. You know, we're not utilizing it to pull together communities to do good work in the community. I think you used the term earlier that we overconsume, and that we are consumers, and we like entertainment. You know, and so when you look at our demographic does spend a lot of money and a lot of resources on entertainment. So what we've done is we've taken that entertainment mindset. When you look at the top blogs and, you know, the top sites for African Americans on the web, it's it's gossip and it's the gossip blogs. You know, we like entertainment, and that's what we utilize it for. There was just an article that came out about how we're using Twitter. We are out tweeting everybody.
But what are we tweeting?
We're tweeting, your mama said this.
Right.
And that's what we're tweeting, you know. And I'm going to say, unfortunately, but I think that the silver lining, though, is that at least we're utilizing the technology, and that at some point, we would hope that there's going to be a shift in how we're utilizing the technology and what we're saying as we utilize the technology. And I think that the times are going to dictate that.
Yeah, I tend to say we use Twitter, we use Facebook. We need to start creating Facebook. We need to start creating Twitter.
Right.
You know, on Twitter you see these conversations.
Just living in the house.
See these conversations on Twitter. They have these things called hashtags that help folks to keep track of a conversation that has a particular subject. And if you see some of the most popular hashtags, it's like things that black people say. And you should see some of the stuff that they put out there.
I'm not there.
There was just
I'm
an
not
article
do it.
about that, yeah.
You shouldn't.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not there. Let me go back before we talk about how, and you all are the ones that can give us the insight of how this corner must be turned. Because you all are the exception, not the rule. And I think the majority of, when we're talking about community, we're not doing really what you hope and dream that, or the technology hopes and dream that we could do. But Lee, you mentioned something beautiful. It's about using it in community. Let's walk down the line here, and I'm going to start with you. You did the technology and handled programming for the National Black Arts Festival. Talk about that and using that tool now in bringing community, instead of just saying, oh, by the way, the vendors are at the park.
Right. Well, you know, a number of years ago, as I kind of looked around at the festival, and we're talking about issues of sustainability for the organization, you know, and I was very much into technology. And I remember talking to Stephanie Hewley saying, you know, we have to utilize this to expand our audience base and to expand not only the audiences that come to the festival, but expand what the festival does outside of our borders. And we did that. I mean, we actually wrote up some grants. The Duke Foundation was so impressed with our plan that they said, we're going to give you $1 million to work this out, to figure it out. So that was about 3 years ago. We're into the second year of the actual plan right now. And what it has enabled us to do is it has enabled us to purchase equipment so that we create our own content. So this is content that is created by us about artists and about the culture. We have conversations, you know, so when we have an artist and a scholar and whomever, we record those conversations and we put them online. We shoot them out. You know, so as far as we're concerned, we have really utilized this technology to further the mission of the organization. And that mission is how we work with artists, how we work with artists from throughout the diaspora, and, you know, how we educate audiences and how we educate about the culture throughout the African diaspora.
And bringing in the community.
Exactly.
So that it's more than just, and there's a play at the Art Center.
And the community has responded greatly. I mean, you know, when you look at we put up the new website and had the content on there, I mean, when you looked at our hits and how long people were staying on the website. So not only were they coming to get information, to get the schedule, to find out where the so-and-so show was going to be, but they were engaged in the conversation between, you know, Howard Dotson and Dwight Andrews about Curtis Mayfield, his impact on black music, his impact on black people, and what have you. So,
and see, that makes sense and engagement, and that's control, it seems like, and they are living in the right place and using this technology, especially folks who could not make certain events at the festival. To have a conversation with an artist or a musician it seems like that is what this reward is supposed to be about.
Absolutely. When you think about a community, and I look at it from a business perspective, and it's a really good example, a company called Threadless. And a lot of people think that, you know, using technology and it's complex and all this, you have to have some sort of marketing or online. So this company makes T-shirts.
Okay.
And what they did was they use these tools, these online tools, to get people that were interested in T-shirts, in designing T-shirts, to design them and send them in, and then have a community of people vote up which ones they like. And the ones that they liked were the ones that this company made. And guess what? Because the community voted on this, the ones that they liked, and when they made it, guess what? Community decided to buy them.
Right.
So
and they do it in limited edition.
And they do it in limited edition.
And the community feels they have a stake in it.
And the one,
and they do have a stake in it.
And the designers get a cut.
Right.
So they've taken these technologies, these social tools, and they built a business model around it. And they have, hundreds of thousands of people, members of this community now.
And they pass that forward. Tell us more about what you do within your company to get other businesses involved in the correct, not in the correct way, I guess.
Yeah, and you say the correct way.
In the correct way of social media, of Facebook, Twitter, and so on and so forth.
Well, I think the key thing that companies need to really remember and focus on is that people like doing business with people they like. So the whole idea is, how do we get people not only to know who we are, but to like who we are? And they don't know who we are, but they can go to Google and say, I need help with this.
Right.
And when they go to Google and say, I need help with this, a whole group of links come back. So we need to figure out, how do we get in that list so that when they click, they're clicking and they're coming to our site. And then when they get to our site, they see something that catches their eye enough that makes them want to reach out to us and learn more about it. Because that's how you start building a relationship online. A lot of folks are really, they got it kind of twisted. They think we need to talk about us. What they really need to do is understand the problems and the challenges of the folks they're trying to do business with, and then create content that speaks to that.
Makes sense, absolutely. Pamela, walk us through what happens with constant contact. And I know we have some graphics about the company that we can pull up that kind of breaks down 3 major marketing tools. You walk us through those.
Yes, absolutely. Constant contact is all about the key word that Brent said, which is relationships. It's about relationship marketing. It's not so much about the acquisition, although acquisition is a great byproduct of it, but it really is about building those existing relationships. The same thing with email marketing. People open emails from people they know and trust.
Right.
It's all about that trust factor that allows people to do that. Now, Constant Contact is a 3-product company. The first one is the email marketing. That's what we're most known for about 12 years now. With the email marketing, it's the great way for people to stay in touch, stay in front of their contacts for nonprofit associations, to use us quite a bit. Fortunately, Black Arts Festival uses us, so that's wonderful. But it's a great way to stay in front of their contacts, get the word out, but it's also about providing that additional information, that additional resources, giving back. And it allows them to be able to do that and spread that word.
And then you do surveys.
And then we do surveys, online surveys, where you can get feedback. So when they attend an event, they can get the feedback. What did you like? What did you not like? What would you like to see next year?
What can we improve?
Exactly. And then the third one is the event marketing, and that's a new product that came out to actually collect registration information.
I love this on this panel that we have up now for the audience. It breaks down the 3 keys to email marketing: connecting, informing, and growing. But what I really love is the 3 keys to social networking, I'm sure you all can speak on, is the listening, participating, and the integrating.
Yes, exactly.
And that's when, do we understand that?
Well, I don't think we do.
Whole?
I don't think we do. A lot of people just try to jump in and start participating.
Yes.
They don't realize that they need to stop, listen, see what people are talking about. Where is the place for me for what I have to share? And then start getting involved with that and start posting your own messages. And I think if people did the first piece of listening, they'd realize that it's not about where did you eat, where are you buying groceries, what are you doing today. It's much more valuable information that's out there.
What sites do we go to? What sites are we utilizing as African Americans in community? And what sites should we really be utilizing when we get past just the personal of it, when we are serious about the business of it? What sites do we go to, or what sites should we really be looking at?
Well, I mean, there's so many sites online, and I don't think that it's hard to pinpoint, what sites you should be looking at. You have so much material to read. I mean, the one wonderful thing about Twitter is that I learned so much from my Twitter friends, from my friends on my tweets. The Twitterverse, my tweets in the Twitterverse. because they post interesting articles. And so, you know, you can sit there and you can spend hours just clicking from link to link to link and reading Slate magazine. I mean, there's a million magazines. It's not even just, I mean, there really are literally zillions of things that you source from Twitter from all over the world.
And understanding it's your interest, but I guess I was also hoping maybe, I don't know if there's well, there are bazillion sites, I understand, but a top 5 or a top 3 or whatever, that we really need to be looking at to get a handle on community and really using this wonderful thing called the internet.
Well, the big 3 that we're most familiar with and most people talk about are going to be Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Okay.
You know, Facebook initially, you know, was for the college students. It became more personal. Now more businesses are out there using Facebook, especially once they put the pages out there so you can have a page for your business. So more people are using that. You know, LinkedIn is a great tool for business professionals.
Right.
So that's a great tool. And then Twitter kind of brings it all in together, I think, where it's a good mix. But I see more and more business use out of Twitter over the personal use out of Twitter as well.
I'll say this, and I get a chance to talk to a lot of people around this. If you're doing it for business, you need the first thing, find out where your customers are. What are they using? Because you can go on Facebook and you can go on Twitter, but if your customer base isn't there, then you're wasting a lot of time. Right. So you always start with asking your best customers, where are you online? What are the blogs that you read? Who are you talking to? You know, and really, after you get that, you can then start and doing what Pamela was saying, listening. Because what you find out is you can ask them questions, but you're asking them questions to the answers you're looking for.
Right. Exactly.
They may even tell you just to get you off, you know, get them off your back. But listening to them will tell you what is important to them right now. And then you can find out who else they're listening to. And then you put that strategy together that gives you a better context for understanding how you can best reach them. Because there's so much information, like Beatrice was saying. There's so much out there. You can't possibly take it all in.
Right. No, and it can get a bit complicated sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I think you have to also then look at the tools that help you manage all this. Because like I was saying earlier when we were talking, it's about you controlling the technology, not letting technology control you.
Absolutely. And speaking of tools, and we have a laptop and the iPad, and I thank you so much, Brent, for letting you see it. I'm begging for this thing all for. No, but I think you make an interesting point, the tools. We are spending record money and numbers on phones and smartphones and all this. This little puppy is not cheap. By the time somebody gets it, it's obsolete. You already told me it's going to be obsolete. They're coming out with another one. Later, she's going to already know she's going to wait because she's going to, and we really don't know what it's going to do that this one's not doing. Okay, talk to us a little bit about, in community as a whole, African Americans, are we spending the right way on tools like this? Are we having access to tools like this? And then it goes back to the first question, then are we using it in the correct way?
It's a good question. You know, and I think part of that goes to we really have to look at what do we value, what do we put a value on. Some of the things,
this is the way to get us from point A to point B in the future, and it's going to be small, and it's going to be this, then I've got to get this thing.
Right.
African Americans in this community, we've got to be.
If nothing, we've got to get a computer in our homes.
Okay, let's start there.
Okay, if nothing, we got to get that, or you go to the library and you access it. But that's one of the first things. It's amazing how many of us still don't have email. You know, and we have access. We have no excuse now. We have access to computers. But one of the first things, getting the computer in home, then possibly getting mobile. We definitely spend the money, like Brent said, on the mobile technology, on your smartphones. Smartphones that do a lot of this technology. They have programs for Twitter, for Facebook, everything. All of that. So we can start there. We don't have to go high end yet, but we should start with what we can do, what we are putting our money in, learning how to use that effectively with this social networking, and then we can start upgrading and enjoying the benefits of what you get from some of these higher-end products.
Go right ahead, Lee.
And you know, what I want to say is as I'm listening to, you know, paying attention to, as I'm listening, paying attention to the dialogue.
That would be item 1. Listening, participating, and then integrating.
But the premise is, you know, how should we be using this technology? You know, do we have the technology and how should we be using it?
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know how the three of us can really answer that, because at the end of the day, we come to technology as we are. So we come to technology with with the same sensibilities that we already have, with the same knowledge level that we already have, the same education we already have.
Sure.
So what the technology does, it just kind of takes you as that individual, and you find on here the same people that you connect with already anyway. You know, the one thing about Twitter, as they talk about, you know, how we connect on Twitter, it's that it is very personal. So when I look at my Twitter compatriots, it used to be there were people that I met on Twitter, because I got on Twitter very early. So I didn't know anyone on Twitter when I first got on Twitter, and so I met some really interesting and amazing people. But then as my friends started getting on Twitter, I mean, so everybody, like my circle on Twitter now, I know most of them. And I know them, so that they care about me being at the store. At the store. Right. And they, you know, because we have so now I'm having conversations with people that I already know.
So let me ask you this, because you bring up an interesting point. And we do come to the technology as we are. So as community, do we need to come with more education?
And that's the key, because what we lack as a community are the same things that we lack in this online community. You know, so as I've just been listening, and I'm thinking, you know, you can't really answer that question, because if it is so and so down the street that, you know, missed college, you know, started doing whatever, they're coming to this as they are.
And they're going to tweet just as they are.
And they're tweeting as they are, and they're mixing with their same community. Right. So they're not really, and that's what we don't do. We don't step outside of our own comfort zone. And so those are the kind of conversations that we need to have.
Is the fear of that just an attitude thing, and that's what we really need to change?
You know, I really think that one of the first steps, even before the education, is that we've got to change our mindset. In talking with so many people, you know, one of their first responses is typically what they just heard someone else say about it, whether it was pro or con. We've got to change our mindset and our acceptance of technology, because there's no getting away from it. You know, you've got to grow with the world. And, you know, so often, you know, I'll hear people say, well, I'm not tech savvy. Well, and then I'll tell them, well, you didn't used to know how to drive a car either. Yes. But you learned how to figure that out. Right. So we've got to change our mindset, then get that education, and then take those next steps.
You know, in some researches we found, it says that it's not so much about the digital divide any longer in the African American community, but some will say it's the digital indifference. Does that speak to the mindset, to the education, to the attitude?
It keeps going back to this whole idea of, you know, you use these things the way you use them. You use this phone to talk about whatever. If you're talking about nonsense, then it's not going to move you forward. If you're using the phone to do business, to build serious relationships, then it's a great device. All this technology are enabling tools. They enable us to do and talk to and say what we're going to say. It doesn't tell us what we're going to say. It's not going to tell us how to use it, but it's an enabler. So if you have a good plan, if you have a good understanding of what you're trying to do, these tools can be the best thing. It's like, I use this example all the time. It's like giving a Porsche to a 16-year-old. A Porsche is a great tool. It's a great machine. In the hands of a 16-year-old boy who doesn't know how to drive, it just gets an accident faster. But a Porsche can be a great thing in a great hands. All right, Peter.
And you know, and my business is a little different than their business, because my business is social. You know, so I actually operate in a social world. And you know, even with that said, so when I'm online, I kind of delve into a lot of the extremely social things, because that is where our audience is, and our audience is talking about those things. And you know, so I need to know not only what is happening in Ghana with the celebrations that are going to come up, but I also need to understand CeeLo has a new song out. That video is hot. You know, so I really find myself engaging in a lot of different conversations online with a lot of different types of people, because that is my business, to understand what's going on culturally, you know, within the culture. Okay.
But even in saying that, but you still carry the capacity when you need to shift it this way for e-commerce, for marketing.
Absolutely.
Even though the niche might be, yes, you do need to know what CeeLo is doing.
Right, but and
that's when I'm getting back to community as a whole. Can we just turn that? It sounds like to me we're going to have to just say,
but I think it's a bigger monster. You know, so if you don't have a passport, you could care less about what's going on in Ghana or Senegal or Brazil. Right. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so when she said we have to change the mindset, that's the same communal mindset that we have to change anyway. So whether it's technology, whether it's what comes after technology, because we are in a global marketplace now.
Yes.
And if we don't figure this out, we're going to get left behind in this global marketplace, and not only from a marketplace standpoint, but as we start dealing with just the basic things that the world is moving towards. I mean, we've got population issues, We've got resource issues.
We've got health issues,
water.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if we're not on here checking that stuff out, you know, because that's where I am all the time. Like, okay, so what's happening here and what's going on here? What do we need to be thinking about in the future? And if we're not even interested enough to understand that we need to be thinking about those things, then we're going to have a larger problem than we've ever seen before.
Was one of the best examples of how to use this social media network? Was the best example the presidency? Barack Obama, and I bring this up in just an automatic dust lovely book here, Brent. Barack Obama's social media lessons for business with interactive online companion. Bottom line is, you pretty much tracked the campaign, and I've got to say that an outstanding job. But I would venture a guess that this was a great example of how you really need to use social media.
Let's face it, how many of us, let's go back to 2007 and when he announced, how many of us really believe that a black guy with that name, with that middle name, with the pastoral problems that he had, with everything, going up against the Clintons, the most powerful political family, who gave him a chance to win?
Just say the black man. Period. You don't need to really, but that's a different talk show.
Yeah, but who gave him a chance to win?
But he used that tool in the most incredible way and really nudged, if nothing else, our community, if nothing else, on its face. He to say, do it.
Not only that, he basically was the poster child for social media. When he won, you saw a huge upshot in Facebook, Twitter, everything, because he used it. And people were like, wow, if he did what he was able to do using these tools, what can we do?
And it was effective. There's so much more I would love to talk about, but I tell you what, I'll just Facebook or Twitter you. You know. Thank you so much for the insight and helping us to grow and to educate our community of how powerful this internet and this tool really is. We thank you so much. Wish you all the best of luck. And,
thank you so much.
And I guess I have to go get my own iPad.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
All right. Thanks so much for being with us as always. We want to thank you for joining us. We're in contact with you. Get connected. You be in contact with us. We'll see you the next time. For a copy of the show, please send $40 to the Atlanta Association of Black Journalists, P.O. Box 42566, Atlanta, Georgia 30311. Provide your name, mailing address, phone number, and name of the show requested. Make all checks payable to AABJ.